A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. Now, one of my very favourite brands, GEON, have been working away behind the scenes. They've got a whole load of new products coming to the UK this year, which we'll show you as and when they're available. But in this video, we're looking at their Redefined range, which is a series of either formula tweaks or indeed a complete ground up redevelopment of certain products. So we're going to walk through what those changes are and to what products. A warm welcome back to the channel, guys. So a while ago we saw GEON introduce a new Evo range, which was a series of updates and formula tweaks to their protection products, namely their ceramic coatings like Mohs, Can Coat, Pure, One, all that sort of stuff. Why do they make formula changes? For lots of different reasons, guys. They take feedback from the installers that want certain things, want maybe more slickness, maybe more hydrophobicity from their products, whatever. They take that feedback and see if they can do anything. But also new technologies come out and you want to incorporate those new technologies and constantly improve your products. It's a balancing act though, isn't it? You want to do it every now and then, but not kind of every once or 2 years. So in this video, they're doing the similar thing with the Evo range, but with some of their chemical products and accessories, and we're going to walk through that now. So this is the Redefined range. There's also another change. They're doing away with the 400ml bottles that they sometimes use, and I think that's a good idea. There is an exception to that. I believe their fabric coat will be the only product that still uses a 400ml bottle, but all of the other products that use it will now become 500ml bottles. I think it's a sensible idea because it's more of a standard, and it's always, if you got 400ml, you always felt like you were getting a little bit less, even if it wasn't any more expensive. So, and they've also changed, I think, some of the bottle designs, and the triggers are all kind of locked on a lot more tightly so that you're less likely to get leakage. But they can still be removed. You just need to kind of, you know, they've got like a latch on them, if you like, sort of a locking thing. But I think that's a good idea, and that will obviously help cut down any transportation issues where products kind of get forced around and can leak and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Let's go through each specific change. So first up, GEON Iron, guys. This is a dedicated paintwork fallout remover, if you like, as opposed to a fallout remover wheel cleaner, which we'll be talking about later on. Now, the original formula was out for 10 years, and so this has been completely changed from the ground up as far as I'm aware. The major change is they've chosen to use a low odour version of the main active ingredient, the TGA, thioglycolic acid. I think the bigger a company gets, the more pressure they're under to make these products smell better. And the thing with the fallout remover is that sodium-based thioglycolic acid really does have a strong eggy smell in its normal variant. This low odour variant, when you're using it outside, you could still get a tinge of that egginess, but it's a lot more sweeter. It's a lot more like bubble gum, and when you're outside you can really notice the difference with the smell. So that's going to be a big improvement. They've also made it more clingy, so it doesn't run off the surface as much, which is a cool thing. But they wanted to maintain the level of reactivity, so when you spray this onto cars and fallout removers in general, you're looking for a purple reaction. And I think part of the user experience is you want that reaction to be rather quick and strong, so you can see the fallout that's embedded in the paintwork light up and turn purple, and then you know the product's working at that point. The longer you're waiting for the product to go purple, the more kind of time you're losing. So a fast reaction is desirable. So again, 500ml of this product now. How do you use it, guys? Well, GEON recommend that before, you can wash the car off if it's filthy dirty, so you can actually access the panels. But essentially, you're spraying this on to the fallout that's embedded into the paintwork. The reaction will occur. You'll see little streams of purple bleeding out of all of the dots. What that's doing is shrinking the rust layer and making that fallout easier to remove from the car. Indeed, some of it will then come off of the car after you've used this product and you pressure wash, or you go over it with a wash mitt. That contact or push from the pressure will remove some fallout. But for me, it makes a great precursor to claying, because all of the fallout that's in there will pull from the mechanical abrasion of the clay a lot more easier. So fallout removers, I think 10, 15 years ago when they first started hitting the detailing scene, a lot of people said they were gimmicks, but I think they're an established product that if you're into detailing, you're wanting to do things to the top level, they just make the work more effective. People say in the comments to me, you know, I clay without using fallout remover. Fine, you'll still get a lot of the contamination out, but if you're looking to do top level kind of work, then typically you're going to use a fallout remover first. So that is our changes to GEON Iron. GEON recommend you use about 150 ml of this per car. The other key to it is when you are using it outside in the sun, don't let it dry. So if it's a warm day, you can work in sections, and then once you've done a section, rinse off, etc. So very important products. Nice that they've got a more kind of low odour friendly version. So next up, a similar kind of thing, GEON Iron Wheel Cleaner. So this is a bit like GEON Iron, but it has a lot of surfactants in it as well. So it's a different balance of chemicals. You wouldn't use this wheel cleaner on your paintwork because the surfactants in it are really designed for cleaning alloy wheels. The alloy wheel gets very, very dirty, and it gets a lot of ferrous contamination. Unless you've got carbon ceramics, you don't need to use a fallout remover on carbon ceramic alloys. But for 99% of alloy wheels, all that brake dust lights up purple when you spray this on. Now, GEON in the instructions recommend you pre-wash the car first, which is a good idea because it just blasts a lot of the loose stuff off the surface and you're not wasting the reaction on that. But sometimes I do spray them onto a dirty surface because, you know, and they light up and it's very effective. And you just go in and scrub out that alloy with it. The longer you let it dwell, within reason, the more that the TGA has done its work in shrinking that kind of fallout remover, but you don't want to leave it too long so the chemical dries. So GEON advise 1 to 2 minutes kind of dwell time till you get that vivid purple reaction and it hasn't dried out. Don't use them on hot alloy wheels when you've just driven the car and the brake systems are warm, because it's going to dry the chemical out even quicker. Once the chemical's sat there and you've got a good bleed, then you can go in with your brushes, your wheel mitt, and just kind of work it, and you'll see it's quite a rich foamy formulation as well, which gives it a nice experience. And you should end up with really clean wheels. The reason these fallout removers have become popular is not just because of the purple, is because they're just a good midway house between an alkaline wheel cleaner and an acidic wheel cleaner. They give you some of the power of the acids without any of those corrosive kind of risks. So they're a safer, pH neutral, a safer way to clean alloys without that risk of corrosion or damaging sensitive surfaces. So these are suitable for kind of all wheel types, whereas an acid you would be very careful on certain high-end alloy wheels. So there you go, similar thing, lower odour, and also an increased cling so that the product won't run off. It's not as thin as the previous version. So that's the GEON Iron Wheel Cleaner. So next up, guys, in the decontamination genre, we've got GEON Tar. So this is a tar and glue remover, guys. The main reformulation of this is that they've lowered the VOC to make it slightly more user-friendly, if you like. This can be used on, it's paintwork safe obviously, but it can be used on plastic trim. It can even be used on kind of bare metals, so it's less aggressive and it's safer on your car. It's also a thick product, so it's going to stick there a little bit more. How do you use it, guys? Well, you wash off your car first, you dry off the car, then you spray it over a panel, you leave it to dwell for 1 to 2 minutes, then you take the GEON silk mitt or a wash mitt and you go over and you kind of wash it off of the paintwork, and that contact as well will pick up that dissolved tar film. It can also be used as spot treatment if you get little bits of adhesive or some sap or something like that. Stuff that's not washed off with detergents, you know, stuff that needs that kind of dissolving power of different chemical. These are pretty important products. Like I say, you can use them as spot treatments, but you can also use them as a precursor to claying. And the more of that kind of tree sap and tar build-up that's left on the car, the more of the heavy lifting these products do, so they can make your decontamination process quicker and easier, because the less you've got to kind of clay off, the less work you've got to do and the less contamination you kind of got to drag over the paintwork. So tar and glue removers, a detailing fundamental product. So next up, clay lubes, guys. Very interesting. So when you're wiping the clay over the surface of the car, if you're just using water or you don't have a lube, the clay is going to grind to a halt, a bit like your tyre when you've got the brakes slammed on. It just stops. So you need some sort of liquid. Some people say you can use lots of water. Some people say you can use shampoo and soaps. You can use both. Some people use rinseless washes and stuff like that. The key thing is, I think you need something that's economical, and historically I don't buy clay lubes because of the fact I could go through 500ml of this bottle claying one particular car. But this product is a concentrate now, which is fantastic. So it mixes down at 1 to 25. So this 500ml bottle, if you mix it down with water, it's going to give you 12.5 litres. 12.5 litres of clay lube would last me well over a year with the amount of cars I'm doing. So I think making clay lube economical is really important. I think for that reason this product's going to be really, really popular. So that is the GEON Clay Lube 1 to 25. So continuing with decontamination, guys, GEON have reworked their clay bars. So you've got the GEON coarse clay and the mild clay. Now, if we have a look at this clay on camera, this is the coarse clay, the grey one. It's still quite malleable and soft, which is nice. But you can see, hopefully on camera there, it's more clay-like as opposed to shiny and plasticine-y. So it's got a nice feel to it. The main formulation tweak is it's more chemically resistant. So if you can now use this with the fallout remover, and it's not going to dry the clay out as much, which is a cool thing. So you can put the fallout remover on, and as it's reacting purple, you're seeing the little bits of contamination break down as the rust gets dissolved on them. Then you can go and clay them off, and the fallout remover can be your clay lube. That's quite an efficient process, actually. Now, what should you use, mild clay or coarse clay? With most cars, you know, you get a car and you test behind the front wheel is a good place on the wing panel behind the front wheel. If that's covered in contamination, it's all rough, then it might be more efficient to use a coarser clay. If it's relatively smooth and there's just light contamination, a mild clay is better. A milder clay is going to put in less marring than a coarse clay. Another reason to use coarse is if you've got overspray on a car that sticks to the paintwork, bonds to the paintwork, and you need a coarser clay to get it off. Really, once you've clayed, you want to be polishing the car. When the car's all wet and covered in clay lube or whatever, it's harder to see that fine surface marring, but you get heavy light on it and you can usually see where you've clayed. But all of that clay marring is on the surface, so it all polishes off very, very easy. You don't really want to be machine polishing a car before you've taken off the contamination, or else you'll just, especially the more contaminated it is, there's going to be all these little lumps, and you'll see the polish drag over the lumps and stuff like that. So you want it to be really clean before you go ahead and do your machine polishing. So clay bars are very important products. Next, in the remit of machine polishing, GEON Compound Plus is a heavy cutting compound. Now the formulation has been changed to extend the working cycle. So in other words, when you're machine polishing, you don't have to stop because the polish is kind of drying up or dusting on you. So it's a heavily lubricated cutting compound. Now, why do you need heavy cutting compounds? Well, when you're removing defects and paintwork, you want that to be an efficient process, and it is a balancing act, and it's very fine, the differences between these products. But when you're taking out sandy marks or you've got hard paint with deep scratches, as I've said before, you want to go at it with the appropriate tool for that job. Trying to remove sandy marks and deep scratches with a finishing polish isn't going to work. Now, typically you'll use Compound Plus as part of a two-stage polishing process. So you'll do your cutting with it, and then after that you'll finish out the paint. And in GEON's range you also have the GEON Polish. I believe you also have a compound as well that's not the Compound Plus. Don't quote me on that though. But then you would finish it with either the GEON Polish, or sometimes I like to use the GEON Primer as a finishing polish, because you can just spray a little bit of GEON Prep on that and buff it, And you haven't got to do that involved degrease prior to putting on the coating. I like that. I like the idea of a primer for your ceramic coatings. And some of the testing I've done says that using that primer seems to increase the zing of the ceramic coating. But, you know, I don't have a lab here, but I like GEON Primer. So some changes to Compound Plus, which is important for GEON as well, because they're a coating company, but they provide you every single solution within the detailing remit. So I think it's important for them to have a really good offering in the abrasives remit. Next up, in the last stage protection genre, we have GEON Cure and GEON Cure Matte. Let's start with the Cure, guys. So this is like a silica spray sealant, and this is one of the ones that's been around for a long time. Now you can use these in a variety of different ways. They can be like a standalone kind of protection product that you can spray on your panels and wipe and it glosses it up. But because it's SiO2 rich, Steve from GEON told me it's got a really good filling effect for a liquid product as opposed to like a glaze. Primarily as well though, this product is used, and they sometimes supply you in some of their kits a little bottle of it to go on top of a freshly applied ceramic coating, so it reduces the risk of getting water spotting while that coating cures for the first week. So it's like a sacrificial layer product. Now, historically, with the old version of Cure, GEON were always saying, just like 1 mist per panel, do not go hurling it on, because it was a powerful, strong product. And what do people do? They probably go hurling it on like I do. If you do, then you've got to buff loads of it out and it can be difficult to work with. So that's what GEON have solved in this version. So it's easier to use. You have to be less mindful of using too much with GEON Cure. Pretty cool products these are, guys. I think most people, the viral type products within GEON's range are the wet coat and the ceramic detailer and their normal detailer, because this is more associated with coating maintenance. But this is a very, very glossy product. Now, Cure Matte is interesting because obviously some people have matte paintworks out there which you can coat, but you don't want to add gloss to them when you maintain it, because that's the whole point of a matte finish or even a satin finish without that clear coat. So GEON have got a dedicated product for the same function on a matte car, but I always thought this product would have been really handy to have with my M4, where it had satin or bare satin finish paintwork on the alloys, and it sometimes over time, especially because I was tracking it a lot, go a little bit cloudy and milky after I've been washing it, and you want to kind of get that sharp, deep look back to it, but you can't apply anything to it, you know, other than the coating, but this might be like a year down the line. So a product that you could just spray onto your alloys and then wipe over with the microfiber after you've cleaned them to give you that kind of nice finish, I thought was also desirable. So that might be another use for people with matte or satin finish alloys of the Cure Matte. So there's Cure and Cure Matte Redefined. Next up, guys, PPF Maintain. Now, there's a big market for people that love their cars that have paint protection films put on them, and GEON provide a lot of maintenance products for those PPF systems, which I think is pretty cool. So there's coatings that you can put on your PPF, so you've got a layer of kind of hydrophobicity and dirt repellents. But what are you going to use on a regular wash if you want to just spray something onto the PPF to boost protection and hydrophobicity? So I think of it as a bit like Cure for PPF. So it's a niche product, but it's an important product, because a lot of people, or every now and then people that have got PPF, ask me in the comments, John, I want like something I can spray on there once a month or when I wash it. So there you go, PPF Maintain. And the final two products, guys. Let's start with this one. Trim cleaner, so it's kind of self-explanatory. It's just a name change to make it a bit more obvious and intuitive what this product does. So again, if you're doing the highest level stuff on trim, it's probably going to be ceramic coating it. So if you're going to ceramic coating it, you need to be able to prep it properly, but you might just want a product to maintain and keep your trim clean. GEON do a really cool little scrub pad as well. It's like spongy on one side and sort of microfibery on the other, which is really good for cleaning out interiors. But next, going on to the leather coat, guys. This is interesting as well, because leather is a very unique field. And GEON as a brand have really released over the last few years lots of specialised leather products, which I think is cool. They've got the strong leather cleaners, they've got the mild leather cleaner packs, they've got like a leather coating that's perhaps as, you know, as high up in the tree of LSPs as you can go with how you're going to protect your leather seats. Now, Leather Coat is a 3-month protection product. It's designed to stop, you know, dirt. So it's hydrophobic. It should reduce the build-up of sweat, dirt, fat, grease and oils. It sounds like me. We are the #1 enemy of our leather when we get into your car with, if you've got dirty jeans because you've been working or something like that. That's like some of the worst things you can do for your leather. But having that little film over the leather is going to mean that the film is going to reduce the build-up of the dirt rather than it just embedding and ingraining into your leather. So yeah, leather, if you really want to keep your leather good, it's important to invest in it a little bit, and products like this are to cater for that very specialised niche. So it's cool that GEON have them, have the awareness to have them, because there is a demand for them, and especially with detailing, you could have a very compressed, condensed range and just have one leather balm, or you can be aware of what's going on in kind of leather and what you can do and cater for it. And I think that's one important thing with GEON generally with all of these products, and this is just a tiny subset of their range, is they really invest in filling all those areas of detailing that people have got an interest. Some of the products that they have in these niches might not make them any money because they're such a small niche, but if you don't have them, then people are going to have to go elsewhere for those solutions. So I think it's really important to have a range which caters for everything, and GEON definitely have that. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. The cool thing about GEON is that they're a very active brand. We've talked about it before. They're really active with their socials, which is important. They're active with their marketing. They've got like magazines and stuff like that. They have really cool looking products that they're constantly evolving and changing. And the fact that they've gone through and made all these changes, they probably didn't need to, but the technology becomes available like we spoke about at the start. And it shows you that their finger is really on the pulse with keeping their products the best they can be. Now, there is a whole load of stuff coming from GEON that's going to hit the UK later on this year. As soon as it becomes available, we'll have some super cool content on some really innovative new products that I think you're going to love. So stay tuned to the Forensics Detailing channel. Huge thank you to GEON for sending me this stuff. Like I say, I'm a massive fan of the brand generally. I think if you went through every single brand on the face of the planet and you had to pick the best candidate that could provide you with all of these tools, chemical tools, accessories to do detailing, then I think with GEON, you'd be in very, very good hands, wouldn't you? Because as well as this very cool range of chemicals, their accessories, their wash pads, their microfiber cloths, all their like little applicators for the coatings, all the different types they've got, everything they do to me is top drawer. Really, really powerful brand that understand detailing and are pushing hard to be the absolute best. And it's, yeah, whenever they release new products, I get excited, which is a cool thing. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel. Bye for now.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I when